Do you recognise those landscapes? Does it give a sense of adventure or exploration? Come and join me on this adventure through Melbourne and its southern coastline to the famous 12 Apostles. I'll be starting my journey in the Melbourne City Centre before taking a road trip along the Great Ocean Road to the 12 Apostles. I'll then detour back to Melbourne via Grampians National Park and Ballarat. For those unfamiliar, Melbourne is the capital city of Victoria in Australia, with a population a little over 5 million. If you're looking to travel here, you'll need to apply for a visa to enter, no matter what country you're coming from. Although a visa is required if you're coming from anywhere in Europe, the visa is free. Otherwise, anywhere else a 90-day visa will cost you $20 Australian. Most importantly, to reach Melbourne, you'll need a plane ticket. I flew with China Airlines, spending 13 hours on their direct flight from London to Taipei, with a short layover before continuing another 9-hour flight to Melbourne. If you're not travelling from London, China Airlines also offers direct flights to Taiwan from Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Prague, Rome and Vienna, which then continue on to Australia, stopping in either Brisbane, Sydney or Melbourne. They are the only airline from Europe to offer direct flights to Taiwan. I've had the pleasure of flying with China Airlines on all of my trips to Asia and Australia, and I strongly believe they're the top choice for the journey. China Airlines also made this video possible, so let's dive into why I love flying with them. One of their greatest assets is their commitment and focus to sustainability for the onboard experience, ranging from the utensils they give with meals, the air fresheners released in the cabin, to the jet fuel their Airbus fleet utilize. Comparing similar flights, China Airlines has the lowest carbon emissions output per passenger by minus 27%, reducing the number of emissions released into our atmosphere, while simultaneously shortening your journey through direct flights. Once on board, the warm welcome from staff added to the premium experience by going above and beyond to ensure we were as comfortable as possible, as well as actively engaging in conversations with those of us standing at the back of the plane mid-flight. As I'm quite a tall person, I usually find airline seating to be small and uncomfortable. However, the seats were not only spacious but also incredibly comfortable, with the ability to recline the seat far back. The far reclining chairs, along with the mood lighting, made falling asleep surprisingly easier than normal. I also must mention their amazing onboard meals. Typically, airline food isn't the greatest, however, China Airlines have partnered with the only 3-star Michelin restaurant from Taipei to provide classic Taiwanese dishes to the skies. There's a selection of meat, vegetarian, vegan and religious options. As with any major airline, you can expect to enjoy a large array of entertainment. China Airlines has newly released movies to old classics, as well as a varied amount of foreign language movies in Chinese, Korean and Japanese. I also had the opportunity to make a stop in the China Airlines lounge at Taipei Taoyuan Airport, allowing for a quiet, peaceful layover with food, drinks and shower facilities included. China Airlines has 4 lounges at Taipei Taoyuan Airport, with 2 in each terminal and another in Kaohsiung International Airport. And while the one I went to did not have a live noodle bar with chefs, the other lounges do. You can gain access to these lounges if you book business class tickets. I'll leave all the information in the description below, including a link direct to their website where I booked my tickets. Anyway, enough about China Airlines, let's get to exploring Melbourne. One of the biggest surprises upon exiting the airport is that there's no train or metro into the city centre, despite being Australia's second largest city, although they have a sky bus that operates every 10 minutes daily from 4 AM to 1 AM. And this bus takes 30 minutes into the city centre, depending on traffic. A ticket costs $23.90 one way or $40 return. Once off the bus at Southern Cross Station, it's straight to exploring, where you can immediately jump on any tram and ride these through the city centre free of charge within the free tram zone. These will take you pretty much everywhere that makes up Melbourne, such as the famous Flinders Street Station, the Royal Botanic Gardens and the bustling Federation Square, where you can immerse yourself in art, culture and delicious food. I actually didn't know that the trams were free when I first got here, so I just started walking in any random direction to see what I could spot. I walked the full length of Burke Street to see Parliament House and St Patrick's Cathedral. I followed the short path up to the Royal Exhibition Building, where I then found out the trams were free. Despite this, the weather was amazing, so I walked another 30 minutes through the city to the Royal Botanic Gardens, stopping off at Alexandra Gardens for lunch. I personally wouldn't recommend sitting here for lunch though. The birds were vicious and kept trying to grab my sandwiches as well as attacking my drone, so I had to quickly land it and leave. If you have a keen eye, you might actually spot some of the birds flying around the camera of the drone. The Royal Botanic Gardens were beautiful and diverse, a wide range of plants mixed with open spaces and walks through rainforest before leading to an observatory from 1863. You can access the observatory through the Ian Potter's Foundation Gardens, which are free to enter. You'll also notice a shrine of remembrance nearby to commemorate wartime services, which is also free. Unfortunately, I arrived 15 minutes before closing, so I wasn't allowed inside, but the walk around the structure is still worth a visit. I roamed around the city, jumping on random trams and seeing where I'd end up. I got into a conversation with a local at Flinders Street Station while waiting for food, and they recommended I see the real Victoria by driving the Great Ocean Road and seeing the famous 12 Apostles during sunset. I was intrigued about these, so I planned a trip. I grabbed my hire car and started my journey. I wasn't sure what to expect on the way, so it would be a proper adventure for me. After approximately an hour of driving, I noticed a sign for Rocky Point Lookout and got curious, and it certainly doesn't disappoint. Situated above a rocky cliff, you're able to enjoy uninterrupted views of the Bass Strait. Continuing down the road another hour is the Apollo Bay Beach, where the Great Ocean Walk starts, and a classic Australian meal was needed before the long coastal walk. This ended up being an Australian meat pie with a can of ginger beer. Driving through the Great Otway National Park was very relaxing, and I was able to see a unique blend of flora and fauna, and even make a stop off at She-Oak Falls, which only has a small 15-metre high waterfall, although it's down a 20-minute hiking trail, and there's also caves further down the route. After here, I found myself at more waterfalls, although these are considered one of Victoria's best triplet falls, roughly 1 hour drive away from Apollo Bay. The hiking trail to these waterfalls are over numerous elevated platforms amidst a rainforest setting and takes approximately 30 minutes from the car park. There's no fee to enter this place, nor any parking fees, with numerous walking trails to choose from, all leading to different waterfalls around the area. I knew I had to make it to the 12 Apostles before sunset, so that was my next stop. It's roughly an hour drive from Triplet Falls, although if you're like me, it may take a little bit longer because the scenic drive was stunning. All the rainforest, the coastline, it was great. I also had disruptions on the road, such as this koala jumping in front of me, causing me to brake suddenly. Despite growing up in Australia, this was the first time I'd actually seen a koala in the wild. They're not as common as kangaroos or wallabies, or at least they aren't in Brisbane. After the cute koala attracted a crowd of people, I continued to the 12 Apostles, and once there, I was speechless. There's no words to describe how this place is, so I'll let the video do the talking. Despite being called the 12 Apostles, there's actually only 8 rock formations currently showing, although there are 30 rock formations along the coastline of Victoria. Don't let the bad looking weather in the video actually turn you off from this place. Imagine this with full blue skies and sunshine, and despite the clouds, the sun actually came out briefly for the sunset, and it was amazing. I would recommend going here no matter what the weather is like. The trip was coming to an end after experiencing the 12 Apostles, but rather than going directly back to Melbourne, I took a detour to Grampians National Park for a sunrise and decided to spend a few hours hiking through the mountains. I was exhausted from driving the day before, so I actually ended up sleeping in the car and missing my hostel, and I also missed sunrise, but hey, that's what happens when you're the only one driving. Fresh air, no crowd, and the place all to myself, until I met Sian halfway up the main hike, and we shared our travel experiences the full way to the top of the peak. You can't ask for anything better than this. Grampians National Park boasts 11 waterfalls of different sizes and 6 lookout points to explore. Although as my time here was very limited, I chose to remain around Halls Gap, where there's easy access to Mackenzie Falls, Barocca Lookout, Pinnacle Lookout, and the Grand Canyon. The weather was very mixed during the day. It started with blistering heat on the hike up, and then getting very cloudy at the peak, before then pouring rain on the hike down. A couple of us actually had to hide in little cave bits until it stopped, The weather drastically changed within 2 hours, but it's still worth the hike. Just make sure you, prepare for all types of weather. I was in shorts and I was not prepared at all. On my way back to Melbourne, I noticed a sign for a unique looking waterfall, Cascade Waterfall, so I thought I'd stop by, and I'd like to say it was well worth the stop. But after a 15-minute detour, the entire track was closed off due to damage from bushfires, and the entire region was just ash. One of my frustrations on this trip has been taking detours to places, only to find out right near the end that they're closed. I wish there were signs on the main highway stating a place was closed to save time, but yeah, I guess not. Maybe there were signs, maybe they'd been removed, I don't know. Anyway, following there, I knew I was passing through Ballarat and I had to take a stop. I learned about Ballarat and the history surrounding the city in the late 1800s during the Australian Gold Rush, as well as its thriving history, culture and well-preserved colonial era heritage. If you didn't know, by the 1880s, due to the gold rush, Ballarat was actually one of the richest cities in the entire world, which can easily be seen with the stunning architectural buildings lining the main streets of the city centre. The main train station was very beautiful, and I stumbled upon a cool alley with umbrellas and restaurants. And with finishing Ballarat also comes the end of my trip. Despite growing up in Australia before exploring the world, I had never left the state of Queensland, and not having known too much about the rest of my country. This trip really opened my eyes and experienced a different region with unique landscapes and city vibes, and I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to do so. This wouldn't have been possible without China Airlines sponsoring this video, so do me a favour and book your next trip to Melbourne with them. Hopefully this video has shown you a few interesting places to visit during your trip around Melbourne, although there's countless more places to see that I didn't get time to visit. In Melbourne alone, you've got the world-renowned Flemington Racecourse, where the Melbourne Cup is held each November, Albert Park and St Kilda Beach, Melbourne Museum or Chinatown. In Ballarat, there's the Sovereign Hill attraction which creates the old gold rush days of Australia. Like any destination, you'll never be able to do everything. I would also like to point out you should make sure to plan your days accordingly and where you want to visit. As a majority of my trip was in the moment, quite a lot of places were either about to close and therefore would not allow entry or were already closed. Some of the closing times for places were really early in the afternoon or closed on certain days altogether. As with all my other videos, here's a breakdown of my costs during the trip. I haven't included the airfare costs as this will vary depending on where you're travelling from and what time of the year you travel, but if you were to fly with China Airlines from London, it would cost around £900 return. My accommodation came to £145 from places in Melbourne and Halls Gap. My hire car costs and petrol came to £60 and £52 respectively. My food costs came to £155. Food in Australia is extremely expensive. And all other expenses such as the sky bus from the airport, shopping or parking fees came to £97. Normally I'd have an entertainment cost for my trip, but everything was actually free on this trip. The trip came to a total of £509 for 7 days, excluding flight costs. To continue enjoying the natural landscapes our planet has to offer and future generations, consider taking your own steps towards sustainability, starting with your holidays, and fly with China Airlines to Australia. You can book your flights through their website on the link in the description below. Thanks for joining me on this journey through Victoria. If you liked the video or want to see more, remember to give me a like and comment below and keep supporting my channel. And if you'd like, also consider subscribing. If you have any questions or queries, I'll answer every comment, or feel free to reach out to me over on Instagram. This will be my final video of the year while I focus on finishing my first master's degree. It's been quite the year for me, working a full-time job, studying 2 master's degrees at the same time, learning a new language, and still finding time to go on these adventures. I do appreciate all the support those of you have shown me since I started this channel. Starting in the new year, I'll have more free time to continue on with adventures and keep improving upon these videos. I hope to see you next time. Bye.